Chapter 33. After the interview, the princess went directly to bed. Julietta told her a bedtime story. It had the desired effect. She fell quickly asleep and dreamt of Ralph Nader. During the night, she awoke but once, when Nader entered a dream restaurant and ordered frog's legs. "Oh," she gasped, and sat straight up in bed. Lee Cherie had intended to go to the police the next morning between breakfast and the belated official opening of the Carefest. By the time she'd been served in the overcrowded Pioneer Inn dining room, she'd been barely able to eat and got across the hotel street for the invocation in Banyan Park. Soon she was immersed in Dr. John Lilly's lecture on the role of marine mammals in the future of the human race. Predictably, the park was jammed. Lee Cherie hadn't arrived early enough to get within the cover of the banyan tree, though its shadow darkened deliciously the better part of an acre. She could hear well enough, and with minor optic stress, she could make out the images that Dr. Lilly projected on a screen. But she was marooned in hot sunbeams. The sun raked her exposed flesh. It made her feel slightly faint. Reed Jarvis had reminded her that she was entitled to VIP privileges at the Carefest. Ever reluctant to exploit her title, she was reaching the point where she'd pull rank like a little red wagon if it would get her a place in the shade. As if by genie service, a shadow fell over her. Initially, she feared it. Was the Jinx cloud moving in for the kill? It wasn't. Bernard was standing beside her, holding above her head a tattered parasol. "What are you doing here?" Her whisper didn't sound half as hostile as she'd have liked it to. He nodded his dark curls at the podium screen, upon which an image of a porpoise was projected. "Sharks are the criminals of the sea," he said. "Dolphins are the outlaws." "You're bananas," she said. "Then split with me." "Uh-huh. Bananas is not the color of my true love's hair." The reference to hair color caused him to flinch. She didn't notice. She'd returned her attention to Dr. Lilly. "Okay, if you want to see me, just look up my address." "I don't want to see you, although the authorities might. Anyhow, where could I look up your address? In the banana directory? And I don't mean the yellow pages." "Look up. Look up." She looked up. She couldn't help it. Chalked in a nasty scrawl on the underside of the parasol were the words, "La Hyena, Small Boat Harbor, the sloop Hijinks." Hijinks. He shoved the parasol handle into her hand. He leaned his ravaged teeth close to her ear. "Yum," he whispered. Then he was gone. 34. Chapter 34. She launched on papaya poo-poo, or mango moo-moo, or some other fruity foo-foo bursting with over-ripe tropical vowels. In hot climates, A provides a shady arch, O is a siphon through which to suck liquids, and U a cool cave or a tub to slide into. A stands like a surfer with its legs apart. O hangs like a citrus fruit from a bough. U rolls its hula hips, and I and E mimic the cries of monkeys and jungle birds from which they were derived. Consonants, like fair-skinned men, do not thrive in torrid zones. Vowels are built for southern comfort, consonants for northern speed. But oh, how the natives do boogie-woogie while the planters waltz. The natives boogie-woogie while the planters waltz. So the natives have a lot of vowels, and the planters. So the white guys have lots of consonants. That is my footnote, because when read, this is hard to get across the way he is capitalizing, emphasizing the literal characters of the letters. Moving on. She dined on avocado, aloha, or perhaps guava lava. Julietta gummed roast veal a la missionary. Beach boys ringed their table, speaking indecencies. Repeatedly, Julietta flailed her mop-stick arms, waving the young dogs away. Julietta appeared to be enjoying it. Shooing surfers off the princess was clearly more fun than shooing flies off the queen. Lee Cherie paid scant attention. She was trying to decide whether to turn in Bernard during the lunch break. Okay, so he had saved her from the sun. That princess cannot expect a happy ending who has been rescued by a dragon. Okay, so his exuberant spirits lent him a superficial charm. Lucifer was the cutest angel in heaven, they say, and every death's head wears a grin. Every death's head wears a grin. Fucking Tom Robbins, Jesus Christ. This Bernard character was a menace. 2 whole days of the Carefest had been lost on his account, and who could guess what further outrage he might commit? Her duty was plain. The only question was, now or later? Now, she snapped, if I hurry. She handed Julietta a banknote with which to settle the check. Julietta was attacking her missionary veal with missionary zeal. I'll meet you in the park in 20 minutes, said Lee Cherie, not forgetting to make the appropriate hand signs. As she sped out of the dining room, one of the beach boys called after her, Hey, Red, where's the fire? Between your legs? Ha ha. As she crossed the lanai, she encountered the fair-skinned extraterrestrials from Argon. Mutant, hissed the turbaned woman. You're branded on every planet in the system, said the fez-topped man. Don't you understand that you've been mutated by solar radiation acting upon the excessive sugars and sex hormones in your body? You can't fool the sun. Jesus, swore the princess. She hurried across the street towards the dock. Sometimes I feel like buying a quart of Lady Clairol and just changing my goddamn color. When she arrived at the sloop christened Hijinks, she was stunned to find that familiar face that answered the cabin door was now wearing hair at least as red as her own.